Welcome to Learning at Home with Mrs. V. So today we are going to talk about the power of 10 and how it can change a decimal. Now, when you are multiplying anything times 10, you are making the number bigger. Multiply, getting bigger, all right? So we're going to start off by talking about how does it change a decimal. So let's start with a number and go from there. So let's go ahead and start with 16 and 39 hundredths. And we're going to take that number and multiply it times 10. So 16 and 39 hundredths times 10. All right, so when we change this number by multiplying it times 10, we are shifting it one place to the left to make the number larger. So the 1 is no longer in the tens, it moves to the hundreds. The 6 is no longer in the ones, it moves to the tens. Notice how everything's shifting? See how the 10 has power? Then the tenths moves across the decimal to the ones, and the hundredths, the 9 and the hundredths, moves to the tenths. So everything shifts one place to make the number larger. So the new number is 163 and 9/10. Everything shifts one place. Now, what would happen if I changed this and I made this times 100? So let's see what happens. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to keep my original number and change this to 100. So, what do we know about this? 100 is also the same as 10 to the second power. What do we know about that? Well, 10 to the first power, it moves one place. 10 to the second power, everything's going to shift. How many places? That's right, 2. All right, so I'm going to go back to my original number, and I'm going to shift everything 2 places. So my 1 in the tens place is going to end up 2 places over in the thousands. My 6 that was originally in the ones is going to move to the hundreds. Notice how this works? This is pretty cool, isn't it? All right, the 3 in the tenths is going to move to the tens, and the 9 in the hundredths is going to go all the way across the decimal and end up in the ones. So this number now, after we multiply 16 and 39 hundredths, becomes 1,639. 1,639. All right, the decimal now is behind it because this is a whole number. Now, what would happen if I multiplied this times, say, 1,000? All right, so, well, let's try it. So now we've got our original number, and this time we've got 1,000, which I know is 10 to the third power. So now it has to move 3 places. So the 1 that's in the tens moves 1, 2, 3 places all the way to the 10,000s. The 6 moves from the ones 1, 2, 3 places all the way to the thousands. The 3 moves from the tenths 1, 2, 3 places to the hundreds, and the 9 in the hundredths moves 1, 2, 3 places to the tens. Now, what do we know about an empty space? We have to have something that holds its place, right? So, kind of like when you hold the place in line for your friend who forgot her lunch money. We have to have something to hold its place. There's no foot, so the 0 acts as a foot. 0 is the placeholder, right? So here's our new number. 16,390. All right, so we've multiplied all of these times 10. Now, what happens if we take a new number, and this time, instead of multiplying, we're dividing? Dun, dun, dun. Instead of making the number bigger, we're going to make the number smaller. Okay, so let's start with 568 and and 2/10. All right, so we're going to take this, and instead of making it larger, we're going to divide by 10. So we've got 568 and 2/10 divided by 10. Now, this time, instead of shifting a place to make it larger to the left, we're going to shift it to the right to make it smaller. Okay, so this time everything is going to shift one place because this is 10 to the first power. So everything is going to shift. The 2 is going to end up in the hundredths. The 8 is going to end up in the tenths. The 6 is going to end up in the ones. And the 5 that was in the hundreds will end up in the tens. So now we have 56 and 82 hundredths. 56 and 82 hundredths. Okay, so we shifted it one place with the 10 first power. What would happen if we divided it by 100? 10 to the second power shifts two places. So let's try it. Okay, so we've got our original number, 568 and 2/10, and this time we are dividing it by 100. Divided by 100. So we're going to shift everything two places to the right to make it smaller. So the tenths, the 2 in the tenths ends up 1, 2 places in the thousandths. The 8 ends up 1, 2 places in the hundredths. The 6 ends up 1, 2 places over in the tenths. And the 5 that is in the hundredths goes 1, 2 places in the ones. So now we have 5 and 682 thousandths. Whew, this is hard work. Okay, now what if I wanted to shift it and I wanted it to divide it by 1,000? It's going to go off my chart, right? Because the 2 would end up in the 10 thousandths place. We could do it 568 and 2/10 divided by 1,000. So the decimal, now notice the decimal here moved 1, 2 places, right? Well, the decimal this time would have to shift 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So the decimal's no longer here. I can erase this only because I have it on a whiteboard. 1, 2, 3. And now this is going to be, and remember, if you don't remember how to read this, you can always do the cheat. Erase it before you hand it in so nobody knows. This is 5,682 10 thousandths. So my answer would be 5,682 10 thousandths. Notice how that decimal shifts depending on how many zeros there are. And we talked about that power number, also called an exponent. That also gives you a clue on how to shift the numbers. Okay, so let me show you a few things that I have for you today. I hope this helped out. I hope that you understand how to use the power of 10. All right, so you have a paper that, oh, here's my paper. A paper that looks like this that you can write on in order to do the shifting just like I did up here. It looks very similar, although this one goes all the way to the millions. You won't need all of those. But on this paper, you'll notice that it looks a lot like my board. And you'll notice that it has the place value chart right here. And you can shift numbers to help you to figure out the answers. Okay? You also have a paper that looks like this, and you're going to be using the 1,000 times 10 times 1,000 times 100, and then there's also the divided by 100 divided by 10 divided by 1,000, and I'm hoping that this will help you to shift the numbers just like I did up here on my chart. All right, so I hope you had fun with the powers of 10, and I hope you get this done and hand it in for me. If you have any questions, let me know on Thursday. I would be glad to meet with you during intervention or during recess and help you out. All right? I want you to keep watching, keep thinking, always stay curious, and I'll see you on Thursday.